Hi, I wanted to take a moment and explain the why of selling Jesus. See, I know many may be asking and saying, how can you sell something that is free? Because we've all been taught that the gift of salvation, keyword, gift of salvation, is free. It's a free gift. We can take many different verses. We know John 3:16, for God so loved the world, He sent His only Son, so that whomever believes in Him will not perish, but have everlasting life. We can take Romans 10:9 that says salvation is as simple as he who confesses with his mouth that Jesus is Lord and believes in his heart that God raised Him from the dead shall be saved. And this is in fact true. That's all it takes to start the journey of salvation. But I would argue that maybe salvation is not free. Maybe it comes at a great cost. The initial step is free, but just as Jesus sacrificed His life for our salvation, the Bible is very clear in the cost for us to sacrifice the life that we once knew, the life that may be natural, the natural tendencies, the sinful desires that many of us have, actually all of us have. Those desires must be cast away, and a journey toward being like Christ must start. Now, as we'll hear in the Selling Jesus podcast, and we hear the stories of those making journeys, you're going to find that in most cases, this journey is not an overnight journey. Our process to getting better and becoming more like Christ is in fact just that, a process. But it is a journey and a process that has a great cost to it. Well, the reality is anything that costs a lot must be sold. So that brings us to selling Jesus. If we define sales in the most basic level, sales can be defined as the art of persuading someone to do what we are passionate about. Many people will approach me in my career and say, "Oh, I could never sell. That's just something I could never do." And I hear what they're saying, but I again challenge and say the reality is that we all are selling every day. We often just don't recognize it. See, if you're married, I assure you, you're selling to your spouse on a regular basis. You might be selling your spouse on where to go for a date, where to go on vacation. You may be trying to sell a toy that you want to have, or maybe a piece of furniture. And in that, you are trying to persuade your partner on coming to your side to achieve the goal that you want to accomplish. We sell to our kids. Wait, let me rephrase that. Our kids sell to us. They try to sell us what shoes they need, or what clothes they need, or why they should be able to go to a certain event, or go to a certain place at a certain time, why they should be able to do a myriad of things, and they are nonstop trying to persuade us to do what they are passionate about. These examples go on in our life. I could identify them in your workplace, within your church, within your neighborhood. I assure you that you are selling all day long because you have passions, desires, and wants, and the only way to accomplish all of what is inside you is typically to persuade someone else to do it for you or with you. So we are all in sales. Now, if you've been a follower of Christ for any period of time, you've heard the Great Commission. And the Great Commission summarized is, "Go ye into all the world and preach the good news to everyone." I'll summarize it this way. Go ye into all the world and sell Jesus. If in fact you're a follower of Christ, we all know that there is an expectation that we should share our passion for our Christ whom has sacrificed everything for us. We should be willing and able to share that with others with a goal of persuading them of understanding how great Jesus is and this life is. There's another reality though. We all know it, but most of us don't know how. And most of us, quite frankly, get afraid of sharing our faith with others because of that fear of not knowing how. We don't know how to start the conversation. We don't know what questions we should ask. In fact, most of us are afraid of just that simple fact of being told our whole life that there are certain things you're not to talk about with others, being politics and religion and money. But then, aren't those the most important things anyway? And shouldn't we really be talking about the things that are most important and have the greatest impact on our life in the first place? So with selling Jesus, the goal is to help each and every one of us through modules that will be presented from time to time, use sales strategies that have been proven over hundreds of years to develop relationships, to ask good questions, and to ultimately establish a place to present a message that helps a person achieve a goal that will help them. That was a long answer. Let me summarize it a little more succinctly here. The reality is, we all buy stuff because we have a need. We have a problem. I've been in the world of sales for 20 years now, in the business world, and I will tell you this, that my job is really just to get to know somebody and begin understanding what their problems are, where their needs lie, and to identify, do I have a solution that takes care of that problem or that need? And if I do, then selling is actually pretty easy. It's presenting a solution to their problem, showing them how to fix their problem, take care of their need, and they move forward. Well, in life, I will tell you that there are many of us all around that have many problems. These problems may be financial problems, they may be addictions, they may be family problems. The problems go on, and the good news is, when it comes to selling Jesus, wow, Jesus really is the answer for every problem in this world. Now, as I begin to walk through the tools, if you study sales, you're going to learn that a story is in fact the most powerful tool in every single sales toolbox. It's often said that facts tell, stories sell. And so the story becomes the most important part of presenting a case of why a solution will take care of someone else's problem, especially if it relates to their problem and how they can benefit from it. And that is also why the Selling Jesus podcast is being started, as we explore the stories of individuals, ordinary individuals, of what Christ has done for their life, going from point A, where they were born, to a relationship with Christ, what the problems were, and what Christ has done for them. It's through these stories that we hope that the gospel is shared, but yet is a relatable gospel that we can present to others so that they can see how Jesus is the solution and the answer to their problems. Now here's the irony. I started this podcast by saying that following Christ comes at an extreme cost. But in my interviews that I've had up to this point on the Selling Jesus podcast, I've learned that there's a little bit of irony here. And I know that each and every individual that has provided their story up to this point would agree on this one thing. When they gave their life to Christ fully, it did come at an extreme cost. They gave up many things that they had once done. And some of those things were hard to give up, but ultimately, as part of the process, they were able to do so. Here's the irony. Looking back, each and every one of them would now say what they gave up was actually what was costing them the most. Costing them a life of liberty, a life of freedom, a life of peace, and a life of joy with Jesus Christ. Again, I look forward to this journey with each and every one of you with Selling Jesus. I hope that you learn as much as I do, and that together we can make a difference in this world, and that one by one, this world will be won for Jesus.